I'm Wadey G, and I said what I said.
I said what I said,
As
and
always.
I'm not changing on it.
All right, everybody. So we are really living in tough times in America, but definitely around the world. I'm speaking just for in this video specifically what's going on in America with racial injustice, anti-Black American injustice in particular, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been putting a good fight, protesting, making things happen in politics, making things happen in social media to make people aware that any type of social injustice, including and especially towards African Americans, Black Americans, will not be tolerated. So, with that said, I know a lot of people in the LGBT community are celebrating the announcement Grindr made talking about removing its race or ethnicity option for people to find their dates, find their lovers on the hookup platform. And so it's been drawing some mixed reviews, and I really want to give my 2 cents in. I would say the reviews are more positive, but this is where I have a question with it. So before I even offer my 2 cents, let me read you what Grindr has said on their Instagram. Now, this is also too in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, but particularly June 2nd was National Blackout Day. So this was the time that we utilized our voices on social media to turn our photos to black for the day and only bring attention to social awareness that fights against anti-Black biases. So with that said, here is Grindr's statement. We stand in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement and the hundreds of thousands of queer people of color who log into our app every day. We will not be silent and we will not be inactive. Today we are making donations to the Marsha P. Johnson Institute and Black Lives Matter and urge you to do the same if you can. We will continue to fight racism on Grindr, both through dialogue with our community and a zero tolerance policy for racism and hate speech on our platform. As part of this commitment and based on your feedback, we have decided to remove the ethnicity filter from our next release. So I'm not sure when that next release is because it wasn't announced on their Instagram post when it was shared. When they did post it, over 4,000 likes came about and a few criticisms. Here's my take on it, and I don't want to say this is a really much of a criticism. More so, does this really combat and end racist behavior on the app? I say no, because unless you delete profiles and unless Grindr deletes profiles where people post racist type messages in their ads or in messages towards other people, removing that filter wouldn't do much. You have to just go all the way with it. And I think it's more important to remove the people who are spewing that kind of behavior. Now, also too, people have preferences. So if you're going to remove the ethnicity, if Grindr wants to remove the ethnicity filter, they should remove every filter. Because what's next? People going to protest, the queer people going to protest against ageism, body size, the no fast, no femmes, top, bottom, versatile, that whatever role position. So if you're going to omit one category because of biases, isn't that what all the others do? Height, location, what is height, location, or top, bottom, versatile, your age, body type, all of those things. Those determine whether people will want you or not. But then also too, I had to think about this. A preference is a preference. If I am not into anyone who isn't Black, does that make me a racist? Am I only using filters for whenever I had a Grindr account just to look for Black men only? Am I being racist just to select Black men only? But then also too, I gotta look at it this way. I don't have to go through a filter. It makes it easier for me to find who I want. But then I've been hit up, despite saying into black men only, I've been hit up by non-black people left and right, even more from non-black people than black people. And I just end up blocking them because I've been annoyed by people not paying attention to my ad or just thinking whatever silliness they're thinking of to think that they can just get me anyways, despite what I'm saying my preferences are. So I think the idea is a goodwill as far as combating racism. I just don't think that's the way to go. There are many different ways that organizations and businesses that cater to the LGBTQ community can make sure racism isn't taking over or isn't becoming a domineering voice among them. It's just, making sure that everyone is included. And that includes all ethnicities, gender identifications, ages, how you present yourself, whether you're masculine or feminine. Just be inclusive in that way, but then also just get rid of the people who are showing racist ways, who are showing anti-biases towards other people. Anybody who's making terrible statements about large guys or skinny guys or white men, black men, Asian men, anybody who's making derogatory remarks against other people that incites divide, that incites exclusion, get rid of them. That's how you fight it. I just don't think removing the app, all it does is just make it harder for people to choose who they want. And Grindr may lose a lot of people over this. So also too, I have to say, and this is not a condemnation to queer millennials. I mean, for the last decade, queer millennials have pretty much hijacked a lot of things just to say, oh, this kind of bias, that kind of bias, or this kind of bad thing, this kind of negative thing is happening. I just wonder, have they even thought about some of the consequences and the pushback that could come from nitpicking everything? And because I believe this here is nitpicking. My fight would be to remove the people who show the biases, because okay, you're doing this to appease to queer people of color. What if queer people of color are only into queer people of color? And all they see is white people going down their profile or their timeline, or white people all in their inboxes. I just don't see this making sense. So I know some of you are going to hate me because a lot of you, that's what you live to do on social media. But other than that, you probably just don't get what I'm saying is, what's the point here when there are more formidable ways to get rid of racism that is shown on an app. Also, too, whoever you delete, make sure if they're on a certain device, you track their IP address and make sure they can't even submit another profile to start. Just gotta be tough. But this whole, we're gonna take out the race filter. I mean, I don't use Grindr, I haven't used Grindr in over a couple of years, so it doesn't matter to me. But I could imagine them losing a lot of subscribers over it. Alright, so that's it on this episode of I Said What I Said.
I said what I said,
As
and
always.
I'm not changing on it.